Okay, so for the last several weeks, I've been taking a deep dive into ADHD in order to try and understand the experience for those who actually have ADHD, professionals in particular, knowledge workers, remote workers, what have you. And I've been having a bunch of conversations with experts in this space, and they've been super interesting, intriguing, entertaining, illuminating, all of that jazz. But one of the topics or the themes that has consistently come up in conversation throughout all of these discussions has been the theme of ADHD and mental health. For whatever reason, this was incredibly unexpected to me. So I've been super curious to try and dive a little bit deeper into this. I reached out to Sally Nilsson. And Sally Nilsson, she is a psychotherapist, she's an ADHD coach, she's an author, and she's the host of the Neurodivergence and Mental Health podcast. I wanted to speak with her more about the ADHD and mental health experience to try and understand some of the challenges that are involved, as well as some of the strategies that can be deployed in order to manage mental health with ADHD. What are some of the main challenges that someone with ADHD might experience in managing their mental health around work?
The way I see it as a psychotherapist, this is just an addition actually, when I have my clients in front of me, I say to them, look, there's three things here. You've got mental health that any human being can experience. You've got your neurodivergence and what happens with that, the fact that the environment, your body, and the way you think and you are is different. And just that in itself can lead to stress and anxiety. And then you have how society perceives you and doesn't understand you and doesn't accommodate you. And of course, that lack of intersectionality, inclusion will also cause mental health issues.
What are some of the ways that I guess someone who's experiencing that kind of scenario can actually manage their situation or manage their mental health in a work context?
We can very easily burn out. And burnout for ADHDers can be a layering up because it's workplace and home life, because the home life goes into the workplace, whether you like it or not. So when there's a layering up of different stresses, which are both emotional and life events, chronic stress is rife, and I'm really big on chronic stress. So we need to lower stress in any way we can. So if we can list the different things that make us stressed, to big, medium, and small, we have to look. I know it's a bit of a cliche in a way, but it's very true. We need to look at the ones that we can control and do something about. Okay, and maybe to start with, look at the smaller ones or the medium ones and say, I can do something about that. And then that's ticked off. And forgive ourselves and forgive others, because that in itself is toxic. Can we just leave it and move on?
Is that one of the things, obviously in your experience, that you find that those with ADHD particularly struggle with forgiving themselves, like being able to recognize, actually, no, this isn't actually my fault?
We do find it difficult, but a lot of it is self-awareness. How, just as a human being, without whether we're neurodivergent or not, how self-aware are we in reality? What are we perceiving to be issues and what are real issues? We have to look at the evidence. Can we reframe the situation? How much of it is our responsibility? What part did we play in that? And being able to look at the other person and not look at what they've done or what they've said, but why they said it. Maybe they've had a really bad time, maybe something's happened. So you're kind of looking at more where it's come from than the actual words, because we're very quick to come back with can be very often a really nasty retort. And that nasty retort gets into a big load of trouble.
I mean, I guess one of the things that you're speaking about before in terms of like the work context and sort of, I guess, the interrelational challenges that can come up. One of the elements that I've come across in some of my conversations is around rejection sensitivity dysphoria. I wonder, could you explain what is it exactly and how does it affect those who experience it, especially in work?
For that sort of rejection, and a lot of people, it can be in the workplace, it could be you've written a report and you need a reply from it and nothing's coming back. So what does that mean? You know, it's often a perceived rejection as well. They don't like it. It's rubbish. I'm a failure, you know, because we'll always catastrophize about things. It could be being on a Zoom or a Teams meeting and somebody makes a funny comment and it was a funny comment, it was rude, or you've perceived it's rude and it's just going to poleaxe you. It was so bad. And also it can be unfairness. So something like favoritism. I've experienced a lot of that in my work life, where some employees are just preferred, but it's all brown nosing and fawning and people pleasing, and it's that fakery and everything else. We're very, very authentic people, can't stand it. So in the workplace, it can be things like that, and that comes on to our huge need for neurodivergent people about fairness and justice. It's just massive.
What strategies do you feel can help when people are experiencing RSD? It's
a bit like OCD in a way, and we kind of do it in a similar thing. But on RSD, have you got the evidence for that? You know, is there real evidence? Has someone really done something to make you feel rejected, or is it a perceived thing? Is it reality or is it fantasy? Unfortunately, we can be quite fantastical sometimes. We need space. We need to be able to, when the thing has happened, the reaction can be so fast and go into our amygdala, which goes back to our memory banks from previous traumas, that it shuts down our neocortex and makes us go stupid and into the limbic system. We've got to get away from the situation. We need to calm down and we need to do some breathing and just recalibrate so that we can think. Because otherwise, when we're in monkey brain, we are literally gonna say things we regret and do things like that. And just suck it up sometimes. You know, we do have to build resilience, and we can find coaches that can help us to build resilience, because it's a tough world out there. And you know, we do need to be strong. We need to find a way of being strong, because we're a long way before society really understands us. And they turn around and think society says, oh, you're just so sensitive. You know, why do you think you're being rejected? You know, Brian in accounts doesn't think he's being rejected. You know, so somehow we have to do that. And also show by example in order to help people be more educated in a kind way. So rather than just get into fight mode, you know, just try and explain or say, I hear what you're saying, okay, I'm taking it on board, but I need to process this. It's just where my mind thinks. Can I go away and have a think about it? And then it's all right if we just have a quick meeting about that a bit later and we'll have a chat about it. You know, that's possibly something that we can do.
Through the conversation that I've been having, I've been realizing that this really seems to affect women more than men. Like, more boys tend to get diagnosed early compared to girls, and a lot of women are arriving at this awakening of their ADHD as adults.
So if you go back to ADHD and the fact that in the past more boys were diagnosed than girls, is because boys are action, they're very physical and they're action men. So it's more, you can see it much more. They're running around, they're punching people, they're shouting and doing everything else. Whereas with women and girls, we are emotional. We're emotional and we're nurturers. And so historically, very, very much so, we've internalized it. And the internalization of it and not being able to express what our needs are and who we are has led to masking. And so men mask, of course they do, but women have always done that. And it's actually very difficult for women, once they're diagnosed, to take the mask off. This is kind of what I do to try and coach women, because it is really, really difficult. It's like having an old house. I'm just making this up as I go along. It's classic, but it's like if you've got an old house and there's 5 layers of wallpaper, and you've got to try and get each layer off before you get to that incredible, beautiful tiling or that amazing wall that is underneath it. But women also have the ability to be able to put their mask on when they need to, just to be able to go out and be a bit sociable. They'll clamp the mask on and or they'll go to the interview, or they'll mimic, or they're very, very clever. But it is going to change, because more women are saying, I'm fed up with wearing my mask. This is what you get now, warts and all. If you don't like it, scroll on.
Amen to that. Sally, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been it's been illuminating. It's been a ton of fun. It's been very, as I said before, very insightful and educational as well at the same time. I feel like I'm on a bit of a journey sort of learning about this stuff in many ways, and it's one that I'm really enjoying. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Let me know in the comments. And as ever, subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future content, and I will see you soon.